Welcome to today's Meet the Funder session, where you'll learn more about the Rochdale Borough Council Community Group Support Fund. The session will be delivered by Nicola Rogers from Rochdale Borough Council. Over to you, Nicola.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Hayley. As Hayley said, I'm Nicola Rogers. I'm the Assistant Director for Information, Customers and Communities at the Council, and I'm here this morning to present some slides to explain more about the Community Group Support Grant. So I have got some slides that I'll talk through if that's okay. I'm really sorry I can't see you because I'm sharing my screen. I can't see you. So I'm relying on Hayley if there's any hands up or questions in the chat. So Hayley will help me in that regard if that's okay. And I'm happy to answer questions at the end. So please feel free to ask away. So the support grant has been identified because the council has been going through a process of budget review and challenge, and during that process elected members have identified that we've got £40,000 budget underspent within the neighbourhoods directorate. Now I sit within the neighbourhoods directorate, so it's within my area of budget responsibility. So it's an in-year underspend, and because it's an in-year underspend, obviously the funding opportunity that we're offering is for this year only, and it's not a continuing source of funding. So we've got a total pot of £40,000. We want to offer a funding opportunity to community groups because the council recognises the value of the work carried out by community groups. We recognise the hard work that you do, and also your reliance on volunteers and the ever increasing and complex demand of some of our communities. We also recognise that the current cost of living crisis and current rising costs for utilities is a particular problem for all groups, really. And so the council wants to financially support community groups to enable them to continue to deliver the great work across all the townships. So the aim of the funding, as I say, it's to benefit local communities. It's to evidence, we want to evidence how the grant would add value to what's already available and being delivered. And we want to show how the grant would further support additional support to local groups. So basically, it's really quite vague, but it's to benefit local communities.
Nicola, can I?
Source of funding is the £40,000 pot. The reason for the funding, as I say, it's to recognise the hard work that the groups deliver, the groups do and deliver. The aim of the funding, as I say, it's really straightforward, benefit local communities. The expectations, we expect applicants to be considerate of others and only apply what they need. What they need. As I say, we've got a total pot of £40,000, so it's not a huge amount of money. So we would just expect you to be considerate and respectful, really, of any bid that's put in. We would expect the applications to be submitted on the form that we've provided, and we would expect the grant to be used only for which the purpose that was on the application and which was approved. We would also expect any successful applicants, if they're purchasing supplies and services, as far as possible to support the local economy and purchase from within Rochdale Borough, if that's possible. And as I say, because it is an in-year saving, one-off saving, underspend rather, the funding doesn't imply any commitment for the council to continue after this one-off payment. So then, who's eligible to apply? Oh, sorry. Who's eligible to apply? We're saying that it's community groups and voluntary sector organisations who have a constitution and also who hold a bank account. And the primary criteria is they're not already in receipt of other council funding, because we have some community groups that already receive funding from the council. We have community centres that already receive funding. So this is targeting groups that don't currently receive funding from the council. So what the funding can be used for, we recognise that other funding streams that are provided by either the council or other funding sources can be quite restrictive, and there's lots of things that you can't use the funding for. So we are suggesting that this one-off funding opportunity can be used for quite wide-ranging things really. It can be used to support the delivery of additional projects or services. It can be used to scale up existing offer, to do more of what you're already doing. It can be used to contribute towards insurance or utilities costs, because as I say, we recognise that the backdrop of the financial picture, all costs are increasing. So we recognise that you may wish to put it towards your insurance premiums or utilities costs, or you can contribute to volunteer expenses, training costs, DBS checks, things like that. And we recognise that those other sources of funding wouldn't normally support those costs. So again, if that would be of benefit to allow you then to continue to deliver, then that's where we see the benefit to the communities coming from. So that there are some limitations on funding, and we're suggesting that the funding cannot be used for things that would normally be funded through mainstream budgets, that duplicates existing services or that the council has a statutory obligation to provide. We're not going to fund parties or promoting religious or political causes. We don't want projects that benefit individuals. It needs to be groups of people. We don't want to fund improvements to private land or repairing unadopted roads or land. We're not going to fund campaigning or carrying out activities to influence the council decision when we're exercising our statutory functions. And we're not going to be contributing to charitable collections or running fundraising events. So the application form is really quite straightforward. We've devised it basically from a blank piece of paper. So we want to obviously identify the applicant, the community group or organisation. We need some contact details on there. We also want you to detail the request and what you would be putting that money towards, what you would be delivering, and then if there's any supporting documentations, I suggested about insurance premiums. If you're saying you want to support the cost of an insurance premium, if you could provide us your insurance documents and renewal notifications with the prices on there, then obviously that would be the supporting document there. That's just an example. We'd like you to provide a summary of the social value and the expected numbers of participants. So if you were suggesting that, using that insurance as the theme, if you're suggesting that without support for insurance you would have to stop an activity, then we'd want you to describe what social value that activity provides and how many numbers of people participate in that activity. And we'd also expect you to identify the location and any venues where you deliver those activities from. So the decision, obviously we're expecting quite a number of applications. The decision on applications will be made by a governance board. And again, the leader of the council has determined who the governance board will be. And it will be the elected member, the portfolio holder for communities and cooperation. It will be the assistant to the portfolio for communities and cooperation. It'll be the chair of corporate overview and scrutiny. So we've got 3 elected members there. We've also got the Assistant Director, Information, Customers and Communities, which is me, so I'm a council officer. And then there will be the Township and Communities Manager, which is a council officer. So it's a governance board of 5 people, 3 elected members and 2 council officers. We will expect any successful awards that we would expect the community group to complete an evaluation form telling us an overview of what you've achieved with the funding, who's benefited, the effect on the wider community, any successes or any difficulties that you've had, and some feedback from participants, including some photographs. We want it to be a light touch approach. We're not asking you to go into the depths of, analysis and evaluation, but we would like to understand, you know, an overview, who's benefited and what your successes were. And photographs obviously can speak 1,000 words. A picture can speak 1,000 words, can't it? So we'd welcome photographs. So then really the final slide now, this is really short and sweet, but the final slide now is to just tell you the timelines and the deadlines. So because it's only £40,000, I mean, it's not a lot of money in the scheme of things. We've left the window of opportunity quite short. So we've got an application deadline of the 15th of September. We're going to collate all the applications within that following week, but so by the 22nd of December, we will have collated all the applications. We will then submit the applications to the governance board and will allow 2 weeks for all 5 of those members to read the applications and evaluate them based on the criteria and the aims of the funding. So that brings us to the 6th of October. We'll then have a governance board meeting during the weekend in the 13th of October, and we will make the decisions. And then in the next couple of weeks, we will notify all groups that have applied. We'll notify the outcome to everybody by the 22nd of October. We're then giving ourselves 2 weeks to process the grant awards. So we're hopeful that by the 10th of November, the money will be in the bank accounts for the successful applicants. And then we're given a 3-month period for you to deliver the projects or the services, whatever it is that the funding has supported. We're giving you 3 months then to complete and return the evaluation form. So that basically is the end of my presentation. As I say, it's short and sweet. I hope I've explained a little bit more about the funding and the process, and I'm happy to take questions if there are any questions.